What if I told you that the Bermuda Triangle, a place synonymous with vanishing ships and planes, a place of folklore and fear, might actually have a perfectly logical, yet terrifying explanation? For decades, countless ships and planes have sailed into its waters or flown through its skies, only to disappear without a trace. Witnesses reported strange lights, compasses spinning wildly, and perfectly calm seas suddenly turning into raging tempests. But is there something truly unexplainable happening within this infamous region of the Atlantic Ocean? Or have we been looking at the evidence all wrong? To understand the true nature of the Bermuda Triangle, we have to go back to the beginning. The term itself didn't even exist until 1964, coined by writer Vincent Gaddis in a sensational article. But even before that, whispers and rumors had begun to circulate. The region, vaguely defined by points in Bermuda, Florida, and Puerto Rico, had become a graveyard for unfortunate vessels and aircraft. Christopher Columbus, on his very first voyage across the Atlantic in 1492, famously reported a great flame of fire crashing into the sea and strange lights in the distance, alongside baffling compass readings. Was this the earliest recorded incident in the Triangle's grim history? Perhaps. The early 20th century saw maritime travel greatly increase, and with it, a rise in reported disappearances within this particular stretch of ocean. Large cargo ships, passenger vessels, even U.S. Navy ships simply vanished. No distress signals, no wreckage, just gone. It was like the ocean itself was swallowing them whole. But the mystery truly solidified in the public consciousness with a single horrifying event: the disappearance of Flight 19. It was December 5, 1945. 5 U.S. Navy Avenger torpedo bombers, on a routine navigation training flight from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, suddenly lost all orientation. The flight leader, Lieutenant Charles Taylor, a seasoned pilot, radioed in, reporting that both his compasses were out and he couldn't determine his position. He thought he was over the Gulf of Mexico, but his instruments indicated otherwise. Ground control tried desperately to guide them home, but their signals grew weaker, more garbled. Then silence. All 5 planes carrying 14 airmen vanished. But the horror didn't end there. A Martin Mariner flying boat carrying 13 crewmen was dispatched for a search and rescue mission. It, too, disappeared. The official Navy report cryptically stated, "We are not even able to make a good guess as to what happened." This was the spark that ignited the legend, turning a series of unfortunate incidents into an unholy enigma. Books like Charles Berlitz's 1974 bestseller, The Bermuda Triangle, cemented its place in popular culture, adding layers of extraterrestrial involvement, Atlantean crystals, and time warps to the narrative. The public, captivated by the unknown, devoured it all. But what if we peel back those layers of sensationalism? Could there be something far more mundane, yet still terrifying, at play? Scientists and skeptics have put forth several theories. First, the simple, brutal truth of the ocean itself. The Bermuda Triangle is a notoriously stormy area, prone to sudden violent squalls and hurricanes. These aren't just ordinary storms. They can generate monstrous, rogue waves, walls of water sometimes reaching 100 feet tall, appearing seemingly out of nowhere, capable of capsizing even the largest vessels. Think about it. A massive ship, hit broadside by a wave the height of a 10-story building, could be broken apart and sunk in a matter of minutes, leaving no trace. Modern ships have better tracking, but in the era when many of these events took place, once a ship was gone, it was gone. Then there's the geological explanation, one that feels ripped straight from a science fiction novel. The sea floor beneath parts of the Bermuda Triangle is rich in methane hydrates. These are essentially frozen cages of water molecules trapping methane gas. Under certain conditions, say a geological shift or a rise in water temperature, These hydrates can destabilize and rapidly release enormous bubbles of methane gas. Imagine a massive undersea fart, but instead of just smell, it's a colossal bubble rising to the surface. When a ship sails over such an eruption, the water density beneath it drastically decreases. It's like sailing on a foam bath rather than solid water. Without buoyancy, a ship could suddenly lose lift and plunge straight to the bottom, incredibly fast. And for planes, if that methane ignites upon reaching the surface, it could create a superheated plasma storm that could engulf an aircraft in an instant. But let's be honest, those compass anomalies reported by Columbus and Flight 19, that's a different kind of mystery. The Bermuda Triangle is one of only two places on Earth where true north and magnetic north align. In other words, compasses actually point to true north, not magnetic north. For pilots and sailors accustomed to magnetic variation, this could cause extreme disorientation, especially if they weren't aware of this unique phenomenon or if their instruments were already malfunctioning. Imagine trusting your compass completely, only for it to be correctly, pointing in a way you perceive as wrong, leading you further and further astray. What then is the truth? Most official organizations like the U.S. Navy and the U.S. Coast Guard state unequivocally that there is no supernatural explanation. Insurance companies also don't charge higher premiums for travel through the Bermuda Triangle. Statistically, the number of disappearances isn't significantly higher than in other heavily trafficked parts of the ocean. The narrative, it seems, has outgrown the facts. Many disappearances can be accounted for by the sheer density of traffic, the region's unpredictable weather, and the Gulf Stream current, which can rapidly disperse wreckage, making recovery incredibly difficult. So, has the mystery been solved? Perhaps not in the way the true believers might wish. There are no alien portals or Atlantean death rays. Instead, what we find is a confluence of natural, powerful, and sometimes terrifying forces. The ocean is vast and unforgiving, and even with all our technology, it still holds secrets close. The Bermuda Triangle, then, becomes less about supernatural forces and more about the raw, untamed power of nature and our own human tendency to weave compelling stories around the unknown. To this day, the allure of the unexplained draws us in because sometimes the most terrifying answers are the ones that remind us just how small and vulnerable we truly are in the face of the natural world. If you want more encounters with the inexplicable, the next video explores the strange case of the Mary Celeste, a ghost ship found adrift with no one on board but dinner still on the table. You won't want to miss it.